WHCM 80.3, The Hoppe Show. We're here with Tom Myers. What up, Tom?
All right, and I have to say, and this is actually far more technically advanced than my means. I still have one of those huge over.
Yeah. Now it says on your. Now, it says on your website, which can be found at tommyers.us. But yeah, it says here that that you had your own radio show when you went to Goucher College. What was that show like to do?
It was a weekly show.
Yeah.
I wasn't busy part, but I guess who played they were and I just turn it. It's fun. And that's what I'm always happy to come on.
Right now you're breaking in and out, and I think it's because of the Hartford internet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the video so it's just sound, because then it might work a lot better. Let me try this.
Sweet.
Let me see here. Is it? So you had your own show called as it says on your website, the Myers Experience. Now, would you play songs on there, or was this kind of a talk show, or in between? Because for me, my show. Mine's more talk, but I play songs too when I get out of breath and I lose things to say. So what would you do on your show?
It was a little bit of both. It initially started off as just me playing music. Big fan of classic rock, so I would play stuff like that a lot. Pretty much Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, stuff from that genre. And then gradually I got into more talk, more writing my own subjects that were good for radio, not just stuff that I had that wouldn't translate to the stage.
Yeah,
I would do on radio. That way, if I was bombing and nobody was laughing, I'd be at the studio.
Yeah. Now here's the one thing. What did you want to do when you were a kid? Did you always want to go into comedy, or did you want to go into radio? Because see, for me, since fourth grade, when I first heard the Opie and Anthony show, I've always wanted to go into radio, and that's been my dream since fourth grade. And I've known kids throughout when I go to school, they're like, I don't know what I want to do, and right now they're working at McDonald's. So my question for you, Tom, is, did you know what you want to do as a kid, or was this just kind of in the spur of a moment?
I still don't know what I want to do. For all I know, I might decide I want to. I want to go back to school and become an accountant. I might make that decision tomorrow. But no, I always knew I wanted to do something in the entertainment field growing up. Initially, I wanted to try to be an actor, and I did a lot of stuff on stage. I did a lot of theatrical productions in high school and college, and one night I happened to be staying up late, and I caught an episode of Seinfeld. This is in the early episodes when Jerry Seinfeld would do the stand-up before the show.
Oh, yes.
And then the end of the show.
Yeah.
I just like the idea, standing up on a stage, he's talking, and people are laughing. And then I saw that was actually a part of his life on the show. And then I realized, okay, that's part of his real life, and the show is based on that.
Yeah.
So that fascinated me, and I wanted to at least, I said to myself, do something in that field.
Now, was he the guy that influenced you to go into this type of work, or were there some other names? Because for me, the guys I like are Jim Norton. I like Patrice O'Neill before he passed away. I don't want to go into comedy because I know I would bomb, but those are the guys that I find entertaining. Who are some of the guys besides Seinfeld that you're just like, man, I just want to be like him?
Obviously, for those of us who've done comedy for a long time, obviously George Carlin is a
yes,
major,
that's a name I just forgot to say.
Richard Pryor,
yes,
including in terms of if comics who are still alive. I think one of my greatest influences is Lewis Black.
Very good too.
Has the courage to come out and just yell and rant and say things.
Kind of like my show.
That get people all ramped up, which I love, and without even punchlines. Even going as far back as Lenny Bruce.
Yes, he's very good too.
Who was arrested over and over again, even up until the day he died, and he couldn't get any more work. Even going as far back as like Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd.
Yes.
Working in the days when there was no sound in comedic films, so everything you had to convey a message just by movement. And when I was in my theater days, that helped me out in some regard, because when I first started, obviously when you start out in comedy, you're still finding your voice, you're figuring out which jokes work, which don't, how you want to come across on stage. My biggest laughs when I first started performing and when I first got into comedy was physical comedy.
Yeah.
I do a lot less of that now, and my stand-up is more heavily reliant on verbally. Yeah.
And now I have a big question about guys like Chaplin. My grandpa used to rant about how those guys had real comedy and guys nowadays just use vulgarity to try and be funny. Do you think if he had the chance, because back then it wasn't really accepted to swear, it wasn't accepted to talk about sex, drugs, talk about the real things. Do you think if he had a chance now to do what guys like Louis C.K. do you think he would have done that type of comedy if it was more accepted?
Listen, I think if we were still making silent films if you took the cultural aspects we have in 2013 and transfer them into the year 1913, and we didn't have sound, Charlie Chaplin would be flipping off every other person in one of his films, because that's tapping into something. At least for me, it is.
Yeah, and
British give the old two-fingered salute, which is the same thing.
Now, to me, I don't find them to be that funny. I think it's just because of their accents. Are you a guy that likes British comedy? I try to get into it. I don't know. It just doesn't do much for me.
You have to sort of learn the lingo. But once you do that, which it doesn't take that long to do, at least it doesn't for me, then I like it a lot. There's some British comedians that I enjoy watching, like Eddie Izzard, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Good.
I've pronounced it a couple times. And also a comic named Bill Bailey.
I've heard of him too, I think, somewhere.
He's pretty much like, if I ever get if you Google him, and if you look at his haircut, or if you look at his hairstyle, if I lose my hair, I want to have it like that, just this sort of long, flowing mane. I have to grow a goatee. But if I have to lose my hair, I want to make it work to my advantage. So, but once you learn about certain British terms that they have, then it should be To
me, I try to find those guys entertaining, but it just annoys me that they never like brush their teeth or whatever they do over there. Because whenever they're like saying a joke, I just find myself looking at their teeth and I'm like, dude, brush your teeth for once or go to the dentist, you know?
I work with a lot of American comics that have that same deficiency. So, I mean, I'm a clean freak. I'm happy to admit that.
Yeah.
And I've worked with comics. I've traveled with them on the road. And they come out and they're like, okay, they come out from their hotel room, like, okay, you're ready to go? I'm like, dude, if you don't use a bar of soap or put on deodorant, I'm doing the Mitt Romney and strapping you to the roof of my car.
And now,
I'm this is going out in near Chicago in Obama territory, so I figure I can use that joke safely.
Yeah. He has a pretty big fan base out here, I'd say. And now it says on your website also that you did your first show at the age of 17. Do you remember some of the things that you talked about in there? And where did this take place at?
Thankfully, I don't remember. I don't remember much of what I talked about because it was my first time. So of course, I really wasn't that good.
Yeah.
I think it was at my. I was still in high school, and I was auditioning. My senior year, I was auditioning for the National Honors Society sponsored talent show, and I think the earliest bit that I can actually remember doing is like I did my impression of Britney Spears doing a cover of a Bob Dylan song. And there's only so many times you can get away with that, and so thankfully that's I moved that a little bit of the ways out of my It's been out of the rotation for a long time.
It sounds like it.
I shipped it off to Guantanamo after 9/11.
Yeah, it's somewhere in Guantanamo Bay.
Still for its trial.
Obama just threw it in his closet. Now let me see here. It says on it says on your website IMDb that you played a role on Veep as one of the employers of the White House. What was it like working for a show or what was it like playing a role, even if it's small, on a show that's on HBO?
It's nice because it gives some validity to if you're sort of starting out in acting. Well, I'm sort of getting back into it. I took a hiatus after I graduated from college in 2005.
Yeah.
That's when I put a hold on the acting to focus on stand-up. And I started it back up again last year. I did a couple of small independent films with some basically working for Towson University. That's a university. It's a big name university in the state of Maryland. And I'm working with... I'm actually working on filming another one with Wilmington University in Delaware. So to be able to go ahead and put something like that on a resume, an HBO show on your resume is to me a sense of validation that I'm sort of starting to head in the right direction with what I want to do.
And now, how did you get the role of the show on Veep? I saw a few episodes of Veep, and I wasn't really impressed. But it's not my type of show, but I can see how it's a very good show. And I guess my question for you is, how did you land that role? Do you have an agent? Do you have connections, or was this a word of mouth? How did you get the role on Veep?
Pretty much, I used the agency of Me, Myself, and I, LLC. There's a website that focuses mainly on auditions for the Baltimore DC area.
Yeah.
And Veep film, the main soundstage is in the town of Columbus, Baltimore, and it was mainly tap the so obviously it's someone like Harper because she's out the
Harper Internet. Yeah. And another question now. Yeah. And now did you fly to Los Angeles to film this, or was this in New York, or where did you fly to film this scene or in the show?
It's in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
It's filmed in Maryland, so.
And now is the girl that played Elaine on Veep, or the girl that played Elaine on Seinfeld that has a role on Veep, is she as good looking in person as she is on TV? Because I was watching the Golden Globes like 4 days ago now, and I saw her on TV, and I'm like, wow, she looks good.
Yeah, I mean, again, my scenes with her, they were sort of they were sort of peripheral in terms of it was just a rather it was just a rather small role, but yeah, she does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Of course, on set, you know, has made everyone looks better with do in real life, but yeah.
Yeah, and now yeah. And now you said that this took place in Maryland. Is this where you were born, and is this where you're from, Maryland?
Resident of Maryland. Yep, born here, bred here, raised here.
I know this before. Don't worry. But I'm just trying to like do this for the shows. So are you from the Baltimore area then?
Yep, I'm from I live about a half hour north outside of Baltimore.
Yeah.
But I consider myself, when I ask people people ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from Baltimore. I'm a big Orioles fans, of course, you know, Ravens. And I'm also a supporter of the single A short season affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles, a team called the Aberdeen Ironbirds. It was
sounds like quite a team.
Yep, always at the bottom of our division, much like the Orioles in recent years, with the exception to the last one. But the team was founded by the Cal Ripken Jr. and Bill Ripken, who are, of course, native of Harford County, Maryland, which is where I'm from.
And now, was Cal Ripken the guy that you just grew up loving? Because I didn't get to see him because I was too young, but I've seen clips of him on YouTube, and that guy's amazing. The way he broke the record for most games in a row. Was that the guy you just grew up going, wow, everyone wants to be Cal Ripken Jr.?
Not necessarily. Well, at the time, you know, there was this huge admiration of him, and there still is. I actually am employed by Ripken Baseball now in the capacity that I do PA announcing for youth tournaments.
Yeah.
Ripken Baseball during the baseball season, which is starting in about a couple months.
Yeah.
And I've met him. I've met his
really?
brother Billy.
What's he like to talk to?
He is very nice, very down to earth. Met him a couple times. The first meeting I had with him was sort of unexpected, unplanned. I was in the announcing booth at one of these fields up at Ripken. Yeah. Which is tantamount to pretty much a garden shed with a soundboard and a microphone.
Yeah.
And so I hear the door open. He comes in.
What's up, Cal Ripken Jr.? Like he just walks in, you know. I can't even imagine that.
And well, he comes in. He's got the hat and the sunglasses on, which he takes off. Obviously, I can see it's Cal. This is how humble he is. He's going, "How you doing? I'm Cal," and like he just introduces himself. And he says, "I'm gonna go ahead and sit in here for a couple innings if that's all right with you." I'm like, well,
"Yeah, that's fine."
You're my boss, and you're in the Hall of Fame, so why not?
Yeah, and real quick, what did you think about the whole thing last week with the Hall of Fame? Speaking of the Hall of Fame, I think it's a joke because Cal Ripken got in on probably 93%. He didn't get all 100% approval rating, and there were the same imbeciles that were like, you have the same 7% of guys who were like, Cal Ripken in the Hall of Fame? Not really. Like, how much of a joke is the Hall of Fame with the whole thing last week and that, you know? With them not letting anybody with roids in.
Well, I think that's always going to be the whole steroids. That's always a tarnish on the baseball world. So anybody that had, you know, anybody that has that asterisk next to their name, it's going to be hard for them to get in. I think the last time that it doesn't happen that often, but I think in the 40-some years that they've been doing Hall of Fame inductions. Yeah. I think this is only the second year that it's happened or something. So, obviously, you're going to have a small segment of the population that always is, you know, no one's going to have 100% approval. Yeah. In these kind of situations. I mean, there's always going to be some kind of holdouts or, you know, people looking to go ahead and make headlines, get PR for whatever statements they're going to make. So you're always going to have that.
Yeah, I just thought it was a joke that guys like Mike Piazza and Craig Biggio didn't make it in because those guys, I've never ever heard them linked with roids. Obviously, we link Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, who was my...
Romero.
Yeah, him, Alex Rodriguez, but he's playing right now, so it's not really a valid point. But I didn't get why you couldn't let in Mike Piazza and Craig Biggio because they were never even linked to it. I just thought that was a complete joke when I heard that, you know.
Maybe for the baseball writers, it was just their time of the month and they felt cranky.
I think that's a good. Yeah, it's a very good. That's a very good possibility because Craig Biggio has 3,060 hits, and he's not going into the Hall of Fame yet. When Derek Jeter retires, they're going to be like, oh, there's no way God took roids. Let's let him in first ballot, Derek Jeter. So I just don't get what the difference is. They're both very similar players, kind of, in their hitting plays, but, you know.
Well, as an Orioles fan, I don't like anybody who's with the New York Yankees, so...
Boom, same with me. I don't think anybody likes the New York Yankees unless you're a New York Yankee fan. It's just the whole principle of it.
Can I tell you something funny I saw on television a few years ago?
Yeah.
It's right after the last year the Yankees won the World Series, which is 2009.
Yeah.
And this is right after Obama was sworn into office. It was a year after he was sworn in, because he was sworn in January of 2009. Yankees won the World Series.
In October, yeah.
Obama, of course, a big White Sox fan.
Yeah.
And I think the White Sox recently, they won their World Series
in like
the year after
05.
Boston did.
Yeah.
So it was two teams back to back who hadn't won a series in 80 years. It was a big deal for both cities. Really happy for both of them, actually. And I think it was Joe Girardi, I think, was the manager at that point of the Yankees, and they were at the White House, and President Obama and Joe Girardi are posing together with the trophy that they get, and Girardi hands the trophy to Obama and says, Here you go. And knowing he's a White Sox fan, he says, here you go. It's probably the last time you guys are going to get to hold one of these for a while. Obama retorts, and you wonder why no one likes you guys.
Obama, my guy, I love that. I think I remember that. And one of the guys on, I think it was Robinson Cano, just looks at him like, come on, man. Like, oh, man, it was funny.
Yeah, but, you know, you might be one of the greatest hitters on one of the most popular teams, but still, the guy is still, you're going to take that versus a guy who has control unmanned drones.
Yeah.
that like killed Gaddafi when no one knew where he was.
And now since
between President Obama and Robinson Cano, I'm going with Obama every time. Simply for that reason. His drones could F you up.
And now recently everyone's been watching these shows called like Walking Dead and Breaking Bad, but I've been watching a show called The Wire, and it takes place in Baltimore, and it makes it look like a bad town with bad drug trade, bad it makes it look like there's bad hard-ass cops, and it makes everyone that works in the downtown area of Baltimore, like the mayor and everyone, look very corrupt. Is this how the town is? Because I've read on, or is this how Baltimore is in real life? Because I've read online that that's how the show was supposed to be very realistic. So I'm just curious if that's what the town's like.
Well, originally The Wire was supposed to be aired on PBS because it's a documentary essentially.
Yeah.
I talk about in my act how, you know, if you want to have the true Baltimore experience, go down any random street. Don't visit Camden Yards, Inner Harbor, the B&O Railroad Museum, the National Aquarium, as nice as those places are. To get the true Baltimore experience, just drive down any random street, stop at a red light, look over on the sidewalk, you see a used condom lying on the ground, and a dead drug addict still wearing it. I do have backstory. I do have a backstory to that joke. One of my earlier TV appearances, I actually did that joke on television. I got it past the producer of the show, and the producer of the show said, "Yeah, you can go ahead and do that joke because the reason I can do the joke is because you're not saying where he's wearing the condom."
Oh, wow.
Okay, it's pretty odd. Like, thank you, I can do the joke, which is a great opener, especially if you're in the area. But really, okay.
Like I don't think.
Is there some hayseed sitting at home watching this going?
I think he put it on his pinky finger. Is he
wearing it on his thumb?
Is he wearing it on his pinky finger?
I guess the logic of some of these guys, it's amazing.
And be honest, I love the town that I'm from, which is Chicago, but I know that it's a very corrupt city with a lot of crime, and the downtown area is nice. But when you get to the west side, it's like, oh no, lock your doors, kids. Now, with Baltimore, is it a nice town to visit? Because it has kind of a bad rap to me. When I think of like bad run-down eastern towns, I think of Pittsburgh. I kind of think of Cleveland because it's right by there, and then I think of Baltimore. Is that the true rap of the town, or is there just a part of Baltimore that we haven't seen yet?
I think with any city, you've got some nice areas, and you've got some not so nice areas. But it's interesting that you bring that up because I work with a comic who's based in Baltimore. His name is Sonny Fuller.
Okay.
He starts off by talking about you know what the number one industry, and this is actually true. You know what the number one industry in Baltimore is?
What?
Tourism. It's people are taking off work. They're pulling kids out of school. They're using their summer vacation time to come here. And he sets up this conversation. It's going, "Dad, we're going to Baltimore. Do they have an amusement park there?" The guy goes, "No." He says, "But we do have Park Heights, and that's scarier than any roller coaster you'll ever be on." So yeah, I mean, I always say, you know, the worst part of urban areas are the same as the worst part of rural areas. Mm-hmm. They're exactly the same in that if you look at a place and say the wrong thing, you're gonna get shot. So, I mean, it's two sides of the same coin.
And now, this Sunday, the big primetime game, Baltimore versus New England. It's Tom Brady, the pretty boy,
quarterback,
versus.
Sorry, I had to do that. I had to jab it.
It's Tom Brady, the pretty boy, versus Ray Lewis, the guy that hasn't made the best decisions in his life. Now, before we get into the game, this is the last.
Legally, he has.
Yeah, legally. Now, without being completely dishonest, or I mean, without being biased, like, I like the Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers, so that means that I'm a fan of Kobe Bryant, and I know something went down in that hotel room with that girl. I don't think he completely raped her, but I think there was probably there was some miscommunications, if you will. Now, with Ray Lewis, don't
tell that to Ben Roethlisberger. That's our big thing in Baltimore when the Steelers come to town. We say, "Hey Ben, no means no."
Those jokes never get old. I just whenever I'm watching the game, I'm like, "Touchdown, Roethlisberger," and I laugh to myself, and then I just move on. But with with Ray Lewis, the guy has like over 2,000 tackles. He's made the Pro Bowl 1,000 times. He's like the best linebacker I've ever seen. What do you take out of his legacy? Because I'm going to be honest, sometimes I have a hard time rooting for the team just because of Ray Lewis, just because it's so iffy what happened there. What do you take out of it as a Baltimore Ravens fan?
I think obviously it made big news here, and I think it's true when you say, okay, the past is the past. Like you have, for instance, you have Michael Vick. I think it's what you do with yourself once this thing is passed.
Yeah.
Michael Vick, he's come back. He's slowly starting to work his way. If you have something like, OJ, who just completely
Yeah.
Mishandled everything after what happened to him. Okay, a lot of people have a negative view. Whereas when you get to Baltimore, you think about Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Despite what happened all that time ago, he sort of turned over a new leaf. He's become very motivational for a team, and the guy plays his butt off.
He really does.
He does, and he's such an inspiration. He does a lot of charity work in the area. He talks to groups. He talks to groups of kids, and it was a very bittersweet moment when the game when the Ravens beat the Colts in the wild card playoff. It was him.
That was insane.
It was Ray Lewis. The final took the knee. That was his final.
Dancing all crazy, yeah.
He's playing in Baltimore.
And now I thought they got very lucky in that game because Andrew Luck's wide receivers just did not want to catch a ball that game, and Adam Vinatieri had that bad missed field goal. But with this game this Sunday, I just see Baltimore winning because I think last year the whole thing with
you're right, I really do.
And I will say the name. The whole thing with Billy Cundiff happened, and the whole thing with Lee Evans. Now everyone makes fun of Billy Cundiff. Yes, he shouldn't have made it. It was an easy kick, and he missed it so badly to the left. But don't you agree? Not enough guys rip on Lee Evans for that bad drop in the end zone with like 17 seconds left. I mean, that could have got them the lead to win it. Remember that?
It could have, but Cundiff's kick could have set the game into overtime.
I know.
You can go ahead and take it from there. So I think some shared responsibility, but plus there's also something where there's also some theory where it was because the board wasn't displaying something properly. It wasn't displaying the number of downs properly. It displayed the incorrect number of downs, and suddenly Cundiff was sent onto the field. But still, you're sent onto the field to go ahead and try to do something that you have one job. You're a kicker. That's all you're supposed to do. And we got this new kid, Justin Tucker, who
is doing good so far. Yeah.
Who helped saved us against Denver, which
that game was a nightmare going into those overtimes. I was just like, come on, win it already. I was rooting for Denver, but at the end I'm like, just end this game. I'm hungry. I want to eat dinner already.
Yeah, and it was. I tell you what, if I was a sports betting man, obviously I would have put money on. Smart money would have been to go with Denver, but it just shows you with Ray Lewis and the Ravens.
Flacco too. Flacco to Jacoby Jones. That was bad defense on Denver's part, but that was a good throw too. You can't take it away from Flacco.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I mean every single. You have to score points. That's not the name of the game, but obviously your defense has to be shored up as well. And since I think with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed both came back at just the right time, and that sort of is helping to save our season and taking us to the AFC Championships for the third year in a row.
Yeah, and now what do you think of your coach Harbaugh? Because I like him more than than I think it's Jim Harbaugh that's in San Francisco. Because John Harbaugh, wait, which one is? I always get it mixed up.
John's with the Ravens.
Yeah, John does not seem as much of a hard ass as Jim is. Because John to me seems like he's more respected around the league, while Jim's just like a hard ass that everyone hates. Wouldn't you agree? Kind of.
John's the older one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that makes sense. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing with the like I mentioned earlier with the Ripken family. Cal, obviously the oldest, he was sort of groomed to be the big star. But Billy's done some things in his own regard. It's called the organization's called Ripken Baseball. It's not called Cal's Baseball. It's both. If you go to ripkenbaseball.com. Plug for one of my employers. It's both Cal and Bill at the top of the web page.
Yeah.
They're both equally. You're gonna have one focused
Yeah.
more of a focus than the other. And I think the Ravens beating the 49ers Thanksgiving last year, or a couple years back, that probably helped solidifies, okay, if you put the two together, John obviously looks like he knows what he's doing. Well, obviously, if you put two coaches together, one's going to come up the winner, one's going to come up the loser. So we'll see how that goes. It could very well be if the Ravens drop this game just because it's a Coach Harbaugh.
Yeah,
I might be pulling for the 49ers to go through.
I'm rooting for them because they beat the team that everyone around here hates, the Packers, and Kaepernick just ran all over them, and I was just loving that last Sunday. And now, would you say that Cal Ripken Jr. is sort of the Michael Jordan of Baltimore? Not in but just he's known as one of the greatest shortstops of all time, and he's the big name when you think of Baltimore sports? Or would it be Ray Lewis? Who's the guy that runs Baltimore sports? Who's the guy that's the man of it?
In my opinion, might be a little biased, but I would although Ray Lewis is sort of in the limelight at the moment, I would have to say him simply because he's sort of Cal Ripken's sort of, if you think of sort of the heyday of Baltimore sports, along with guys
what I thought too.
Jim Palmer, Boog Powell, Dave McNally, and even if you want to go into the old Baltimore Colts with Johnny Unitas, who actually lived just a couple miles up the road from me.
Really? Wow.
And then guys like Artie Donovan, Tom Matty, Alan Amici, Gino Marchetti. I don't think Baltimore, and this may be again, this may be true of every other city. I don't think Baltimore places one athlete above another. I think they sort of look at the entire group of people and say, okay, this is what makes Baltimore sports. And for lack of a better term, there is no, for lack of a better expression, I know this sounds corny, but there is no I in team. It's the team that helps win games. It's like on football. It's the offense has to score points, but the defense has to keep the other team from scoring or do their best to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm very hesitant to go ahead and say one athlete sort of reigns the Baltimore sports era.
Yeah.
But I would give, if I had to pick one, I would give the edge to Cal Ripken.
And now, is there any...
Again, full disclosure, he is my boss, so one of my other jobs, so that might have something to do with my bias. Full disclosure.
And now, is there what's it like with Baltimore teams and teams from DC? Is there any rivalry? Do you find yourself rooting for the Wizards or for the? Did you find yourself rooting for the Redskins, or what's it like with the two towns being so close?
I really don't find myself. It's, of course, I'm Orioles, Ravens all the way.
Yeah.
I was actually just at a Wizards game with a friend of mine. He's got a partial season plan for Wizards game. I was just at Verizon Monday night, and it was just it was amazing in that the Wizards not only actually won their 7th game of the season, they actually blew out another team, which doesn't really have.
Who? Which?
Orlando Magic. It was the Orlando Magic. So
wow, really? And that's not even that's not a good team, but wow, the Wizards. Well, was John Wall back? Yeah, I think he was back, because that was... Yeah, so that's what happens when you get your best player back. You have a chance to win. Wow, that's quite a principle. When you have your best player, you have a chance to win.
This season, Wizards because they're not a joke of their this big the girl up in the stands.
Yeah.
They're normal pump. Tradition. Okay, when the game starts, okay, 4.
Yeah.
Girl loud, sit down. I was about ready to stand up, and my buddy grabs my arm, pulls me back into my seat, and says, "This game is good." want to use them.
And now, what do you think when you watch NBA basketball? Because, like, to me, it's so amazing because I'll admit, I'm 6'6" tall, but I'm really bad at basketball. I never was like the most coordinated kid, but when I watch these guys and I watch LeBron James dunk, I'm like, he makes it look so easy. I guess what I'm saying is, whenever I watch NBA basketball, I don't know about you, but to me, it's the most fun sport to watch because it's just a bunch of athletes running around having fun, you know?
If you want to look at aspect of it,
Yeah.
I baseball's my favorite sport to watch.
Yeah.
And basketball, if I'm at a basketball game, Wizards for example, okay, I'll sit down and watch it. But basketball has never really fascinated me all that much, and I think it stems from
Baltimore.
my time going to Goucher College.
Yeah.
We had, I think, one of the worst women's basketball teams of all time.
Oh, that can't be fun.
In the 4 years that I went to Goucher, just a little story from my college days.
Yeah.
4 years that I went to Goucher, I don't think the women's basketball team won games going into double digits. They won 11 games.
Are you serious? Wow, that had to be a really bad.
She had been coaching this. I think it was just one of the things she had the short straw.
Yeah.
And there was this one point where I had gone to a Goucher women's basketball game. Yeah. And everybody's got all their Goucher college gear on, Goucher sweatshirts, Goucher.
Go Goucher!
Goucher everything. And the announcer came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Goucher women's basketball." The crowd groaned and booed. So they were groaning and booing the fact, while they're all wearing their Goucher stuff, that they were at a Goucher women's basketball.
That is so uncomfortable to think about. Boo! And all the girls are like, "Why do you hate us?"
Okay, you know what? We were gonna give away prizes, but F you. You know, we're not gonna do it. Okay, it's time for a big prize giveaway. Boo!
I could just imagine that. I mean, when I went to high school, it was always like, whenever you went to the boys' basketball game, it's like, "Yeah, let's go Hershey, woo!" Then you go to a girls' basketball game, and it's like, yeah. Like, it's. I guess my point is, I love how women get so mad when they're like, "We deserve to have rights too. We're just as good as the men." And then here you're telling me that they couldn't get that their score could not get to double digits. I mean, how do you expect to make a name of yourself in these games and try and prove a point when you can't even make it to 10 points?
Well, no, not points. I don't think they won 10 games when
I thought you meant by points. I was like, wow, that's one bad team.
It's listen. If the team's good, it doesn't matter what gender they are. If the team's good, people will come to see you. Yeah,
sounds about right. And now it says one more thing. Before we get into some other things, what do you think about the Baltimore Orioles next season? Was that just a fluke, or do you think Buck Showalter will get guys like Adam Jones back and get them more pumped and get them back to the playoffs? What is your take as a Baltimore Orioles fan?
I think if Buck Showalter is allowed to keep doing what he's doing, because he has a very good record when it comes to teams like this. He did it with the Yankees.
Yes.
He did it with, I think it was the Rangers.
I believe so too. Let me check.
And the Diamondbacks, if I'm not mistaken. It was teams I'm thinking of. And I think if everybody in Baltimore, they got to be excited about the Orioles again, which hadn't happened after 14 seasons.
Yeah.
I think that there's already some excitement about this coming season. that what are they gonna do now? Are they gonna have another breakthrough season like 2012? So it will definitely be interesting to see. But I think if Showalter keeps doing what he's doing, and doesn't take his direction from ownership, which I think Peter Angelos is not known as one of the better team owners.
Yeah.
I'll give you some comparison I heard from inside the sports world.
Yeah.
George W. Bush, whatever you thought of the job he did as president and how negatively he was thought, before he was president, obviously he was governor of Texas. Before he was governor of Texas, he was one of the owners of the Texas Rangers. Yeah. George W. Bush is considered to be one of the better owners, one of the better baseball team owners.
Wow.
That should tell you what it takes to run a baseball team. if the guy who had Dick Cheney as his vice president, if the guy who had a vice president who accidentally shot someone in the face hunting can run a team better than you can.
Yeah.
Call up, hey George.
George?
Yeah, I need some help here. Everybody hates me. You're the expert on this. How do I do PR work? Karl Rove's not doing anything in politics anymore. Can I borrow him? Yeah.
And now, on your website, it says that you took part in an 81-hour marathon at Magooby's Joke House. What was it like? Were you there for all 81 hours, or did you guys take breaks? How did this all go down? It sounds like madness.
The show itself could not take a break, just because of the conditions of the rules of the contest.
Yeah.
But when this first started, we were initially going after a record set by the comic strip in New York City.
Yeah.
They on for some like 40 or 50 some hours.
Wow.
Show. And then as we were planning it, the lineup was set, the schedule was ready to go. The Laugh Factory in Los Angeles broke that record 80 hours.
Yeah.
So suddenly the management of the club thought, okay, they came out and said, listen, we need more guys and everybody's got to do more time. So okay. So I went ahead and formed at a slot and then a 10 a.m. slot as well. So it's I think there's a few things that have to be corrected, but I think eventually the record's going to be verified, and Baltimore will definitely, again, my home club will definitely take its place in the Guinness Book of World Records.
That would be very cool. And now, how many shows did you do throughout those 81 hours? Like, how did this go down? Like, how many now, were there like 40 different comedians? How many were there? Because I feel like you'd have to have a lot for an 81-hour span.
Yeah, I think there was a few dozen comics at least, and
wow.
You have to be on for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then once the 30 minutes are up, then another comic goes up, and this has to be continuous.
And now, since you're the guy that makes everyone laugh, since you're a comedian, do you ever use this to like pick up women whenever you're like out at a bar, out in public? Because if I were a comedian, I'm just being honest, I think I would suck that up for all it's worth. I would be like, hey, or I mean, I don't think I'd use that voice. I don't know why I just did, but I think I don't know how I'd be like, hey, ladies.
I get like that when I talk to women too. Don't worry.
No, but do you ever use that to like talk to girls, like make them laugh and be like, do you want to come to my show?
All the time. I mean,
that's what I would do too.
I'm young and single, and apparently since the whole Monty Teo thing came out,
yes,
suddenly I don't feel bad about lying to my friends about having a girlfriend. Like it's still, you're the most prestigious college teams. Like, surely you can get a chick without making one up.
Yeah, what do you think of this whole Monte Teo thing? It's really odd to me because I hate Notre Dame because the whole thing, everyone in Chicago is trying to make it into like a thing about, they tried to make the team from South Bend a team from Chicago, but it's not. But then I felt bad when he lost because he had that sad face. But now it's like I'm back to being like, oh, whatever. I just hate them so much because I just hate how there's a bunch of bandwagon fans. Yeah, go Domers! Yeah, Notre Dame, baby! And I don't think there's ever been anything like this. A player that was up for a Heisman makes up that he has a girlfriend. Now, everyone's trying to make him out to be a victim, but I just don't see it that way. What do you think about it?
Well,
it's very weird, isn't it?
I think when you have the the Phillies took Michael Vick after and it aimed the same it ain't the same level as,
yeah.
Throwing one against in a flat, but he probably still has a future. World of put it this
yeah.
Let's say the Chiefs wanted to go after him.
Yeah, the Chiefs, yeah.
That like the Chiefs took the guy that made up that not only made up that he had a girlfriend, but made up that this woman who actually does exist, but actually made up that she died, and then she and I think and then the outrage is going to be such that people are going to start wanting to go to Kansas City Chiefs again.
Yeah,
that might actually be that might actually work in their favor if given what I know of professional athletes.
And I mean, everyone thinks of Michael Vick as a dogfighting thing, but Michael Vick got in trouble for selling weed. He got in trouble for giving a girl herpes, and when he went to the doctor, he called himself Ron Mexico. That's one that people often forget about. And then he used to flick off fans, and it also says he threw a water bottle at a security guard at an airport once. So I mean, if Michael Vick can do all of this and kill dogs, I feel like this will blow over. But for right now, it's just really funny to make fun of.
Oh yeah. Well, his brother Marcus was something else as well. Down at Virginia Tech, Michael Vick is at least at the time when I was going down there to perform, he was very highly thought of. You just didn't touch him because he's Michael Vick. He went here, did all this great stuff.
That's Michael Vick's brother. Don't talk smack to him. He's cool.
No, Marcus is like, it's open season on the guy. It really is. Like, you could actually make a joke about, I don't want to go into a McDonald's because I might run into Marcus Vick. Oh, they eat that stuff up down there.
Virginia Tech, yeah. Now, we're going to come right back, and then would you want to be here for one more segment and just talk about what Baltimore needs to do to beat Tom Brady and the New England Patriots? That was my bad Boston accent. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Wes Welker.
We may want to beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and have a wicked good football game here in Boston.
Boston.
We'll be right back after these. I'm taking your job. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You are doing a better job than I ever have. We'll be right back on The Hoppe Show. WHCM 88.3.